Good morning, Sunil. Good to be back. Today, we will cover another important aspect of leadership. And to me, it's a trait which is both very important as well as very difficult. And all the more in this particular aspect, there is no single winning formula because it varies from business to business, context, where your organization is with respect to the competitor, and so on. However, I think I came across several good leaders who have a high people orientation, which means that they know what organization wants from the people and what people want from the organization, and they manage to balance them very, very well. The toughest thing in this, obviously, is people's expectations from the company. People would want, rewards and recognition to them. Very often, the financial rewards will be very difficult to meet their expectations, especially when in the context of competition. And also, it's entire business. How is it going? And what stage of evolution that business is in, and what is the demand and supply of the people. So that's one which will decide that typically the financial rewards. But however, your own scheme of rewarding the talent, rewarding the potential, that can be definitely tailor-made for each and every organization. So I leave it to the HR experts to do that, and I guess the companies have many practices of benchmarking their financial rewards with the competitors or with similar background people in other businesses and so on. So that is something which is left to the HR guys. But the leader has to spend himself time on at least 2-3 very, very important aspects related to the people. Number one is that he should be reachable. He should have schemes, work on schemes to reward people and recognize people much more than reward, recognize people. And for that, I think the leader should take special care to do that. I would go with one example. Way back in 1986, I think 86, yeah. So when I was in my first company, Bajaj Shampoo Limited, I did a part-time course of Indian Institute of Materials Management and got a #1 rank in India. Now this institute was in Pune. That's where I studied. And so the Pune branch head has called up our managing director, Mr. Abhay Firodia, and told him that there's a guy called Ramanna in your company, and that boy has stopped this exam this year, and we'll be sending the documentation to you and to him, but we just want to inform you this. And at the time when actually I got transferred and was working in Indore plant, and possibly Mr. Firodia just knows me because I was part of the project team. And, I have still not got this communication on this rank that I got. Those days, no mobiles and no emails. So it had to come in a paper. And Mr. Firodia, instantly, he has called his secretary and dictated a letter giving me a financial reward of, I think, 2,000 rupees. That time, 2,000 rupees is a very, very big amount. And then that came immediately to me. And that is actually the first communication that I got a rank in that exam. And he was so kind that then and there, instantaneously, he gave that recognition. Why that is important is, it's all the more important now, the current generation people, because I think now people don't want to wait for a long time, work entire year, and then look for what reward they would get or what recognition they would get. I think people want instantaneous recognition so that the culture of improvement, culture of achievement will take place because people will get motivated further. I think Mr. Firodia's that initiative, that gesture that he has done that time, I think I must have told so many places, so many forums. And in 1986, that time, I think it is one of those very, very, very novel, innovative method of recognizing their employee. Go further, I think I've seen people finding various means of recognizing the people then and there. You know, there are some places they do the employee of the week, employee of the month, or contributor of the day, and safety man of the year, and a variety of such instantaneous recognition. All these recognitions are beside the financial reward that normally a company could get. So the leaders should ensure that such things are in place across the organizations. If you see the groups of TVS, Larsen & Toubro, and many such companies have some scheme or other which will ensure that people are recognized then and there actually, or in a very small period of time, not for a long time. So this is one important aspect which a top leader has to ensure that such schemes are in place, and preferably he himself is there in some of those functions. I know Aditya Birla Group, for example, conduct so many competitions, and I think there's something called President's Medal, and there's something called Chairman's Award, and all that in that group. There people who work for that. People work for getting that, and then it's well recognized, and people are proud to actually have got some award from the chairman of the company. Some of those I think should be done. I'm very sure that many companies have done, and many companies will have to do even better than what they're doing now, especially with the current generation. See, there was a theory which was told to me that why the current young guys would love to play these video games or the small game, because you see that game, what happens is that the moment after 1 minute or 2 minutes of playing the game, it will come with splash saying that you have won, and the best achievement for this game is so-and-so, your score is so-and-so, or you are the best, or you're the third best, something like, or you improved from your own past performance. People would like to get that feedback then and there, a recognition then and there, as compared to possibly our generation, where people, would wait till a year or to get the feedback and recognition. So I think this is something I think all leaders, my suggestion would be to look at it. I think another one which will come to a leader is to balance. There are two ways of looking at how to manage your talent and people. Number one is that there are some set of people, some set of leaders who think that this is a structure of organization that I have, this is the expectation from each role that I have, and therefore I hire the best people, I pay them the best, and I have a team which is the best, and I only do some facilitation, and the team performs on their own. And maybe after some time you find that the guy is not performing, then you replace with him a guy who has the potential to perform. That's one method of doing. Another method of doing, some companies follow that they will have a few very outstanding professionals and would have asked them to deal with the existing team that they have and get the best out of them, orient all of them, and motivate all of them to perform. I have no opinion. This could be right. Method number one is right in some cases. Method number two could be right in some cases. It depends on the context, business, and the results required, and so on. So I don't want to talk about it. But all this points out to one thing, that talent management is something which I think the top leader has to focus on. And what is talent management? Of course, the talent required for the job, or job required to be done. But that is at a lower level, maybe specific job, machining, financialing, supply chain management, negotiations of contracts, sales and marketing, dealing with customers. All these are obviously skills which one would expect to be developed. But I think there are 2-3 things which, in my opinion, the top leader has to, can, and should focus. Number one is that very often we have found that, especially the engineers, what happens is for some reason, they don't get financial exposure to financial statement, exposure to financial aspects of the business for quite some time. So they're very comfortable doing their engineering job. It could be design, it could be manufacturing, it could be quality or whatever it is. But once they come to some middle level and slightly going above that, they will find it inadequate to to deal with the finance. So I think if you want to develop good leaders, which is necessity, and manage your talent, and all the decisions in the end have to be based on financial consideration, because in the end, it is the performance is financial performance. So that exposure, financial achievement, financial exposure to all the people, I think a top leader has to take a special attention to that. In my opinion, that's very, very important. Second aspect, which I think the top leader has to ensure, which is again, we find a lot of people inadequate in India, is that very low international exposure. So what happens is that you could be very good in your Indian environment, could be working very well and with Indian types of people, but people should get exposure as to how business is done, how the same activity, not necessarily business, including manufacturing, for example, is done in other countries. Because otherwise, when the company grows and becomes international, then these people who are done very well in domestic context will find it for themselves inadequate and struggle, actually. So therefore, it becomes even more important that the top leader takes care that all his people, and especially the leaders whom he's going to group, have an international exposure, go and visit. And things are very different in different countries, and the way they look at it is very different. So we all know that, right? And in my opinion, third one is technology. Now things are changing so fast that we find a lot of guys who come to middle management who want to move up. They find themselves inadequate to deal with the technology challenges, right? So I think the top leader has a very tough job in terms of people orientation. Yes, first we talked about the basics in terms of organizational requirements and the people expectations be matched. But I think specifically the top leader has to ensure that these three aspects which I mentioned, largely in terms of financial achievement or business achievement. Number two is international exposure, and number three is technical exposure. Just to give some examples of my own, I think way back, thanks to our training manager and then of course Mr. Abhay Firodia, who was the managing director and who was very young that time when I joined. We got a training. They ensured, though it was the first of times in that company, in 82 I'm talking about. We had one Mr. J. Raman, who is the costing manager, who came and trained on costing aspect. There was one Mr. Ramesh, who was head of finance. He came and gave us some idea. Mr. Ramesh and Mr. Pai, they're the people who came and gave an idea of what is balance sheet and what is capital expenditure, what is variable cost and what is fixed cost, what is activity-based costing, all that. Now, those lessons to me, I think have helped me throughout my career. So I think these have to be done. And typically the engineers are allergic to this, but please ensure that you get those inputs because they will take a long way, afterwards. In terms of, getting a business acumen, I think I will go to one example in our goods cement works. And this is a very unique example. And this is an initiative of that plant head, Mr. M. Subramaniam. He has tied up with one HR consultant with the name Mr. Vasudevan. So what they had done is that they went through the organization and they've identified a few people, about 25 people, who are at that time, lower, about 5 to 7 years experience, that level of experienced people. And they've identified guys who got good potential. And now they wanted to do some additional inputs compared to what the organization is giving them in the work. So Mr. Subramaniam called these guys and said, it's very important for you people to develop business acumen. And business acumen is, here is what I give you some investment, some money, and then you should learn as to how to multiply, get that return to the owner in terms of 10%, 20%, something of that nature, right? So he said that this is an experiment, or this is an assignment I am giving you people, which is beyond our normal company work. It is purely for your sake. So this group is called Pragati, and the assignment is the following. He actually gave 1 lakh rupees. He said, in 3 months' time, you work out whatever you want to do, but give me 10% return on this. In 3 months' time, 10% return. And I am okay to lose this money in case you don't do it, but you should do it. And obviously, you should first condition is that you won't do anything which is illegal and which is not normal, not investing in any other stocks, not that nature. You actually have to do some business. Number 2 is, since this experiment or this assignment is not with L&D, you will not use any L&D facilities. You will have to do on your own. So therefore, you will continue to come to the L&D's work full time as you are expected to do everything else. But this should be over and above that. You spend them. And third thing is that you should not. It should be something which people also become visible. What you do, it should be visible. And you can go ahead with whichever business you want to go ahead and conclude. But in 3 months' time, I would like to get a return of 10%. Now, there are wonderful people in that group, and I was also convener for the group, and we had a meeting together to do what is there to be done. And the example, we discussed so many options, and finally we checked, you're all aware that a cement plant would have a colony attached to that, and a colony has a school attached to that. So we have a school there, and we said of a lot of deliberations, since we also want to do something for the society. We said that we will, we'll do a business of notebooks, because that is just coming to year end. So for the next year, people would like to buy notebooks, and then give it to the children. Now, the various aspects of the business have come in as a part of learning. Number 1, so we went to the school and said, where do our people get the notebooks from? They buy from somebody, 2-3 shops which are outside the colony. And we had a look at typically what are the notebooks that they buy, and what are the quality of the notebooks, all that. Then we said that, no, we will supply to the children this year. And so please tell them that they should buy the notebooks from us. And the principal clearly said, how can I tell my student that you should only buy notebooks from this agency? And he said, yeah, correct. So it's not possible. If you want, I can organize the parents or the children. You can talk to them. So the first point is here in this thing, you have to find and convince a set of customers that they should buy from you as compared to already existing supplier. So first and foremost challenge is that we should convince customers they should come to you. Then we said, in case we have to convince these customers, why will they come to us? Because we are not in the business of supplying notebooks till now. It's something like a startup, right? Startup is a word we use now, but it's something like a startup. And therefore, a lot of children said, why you? And then the first question therefore came to us. Then we did some analysis. Some of our boys have gone to the nearest town, Nagpur, and picked up the quality notebooks that are available. They brought the quality, and that quality is better than the quality the current vendors or our current suppliers are giving. So we said we'll give a better quality. And then we had to go and do some costing and said that we will give at a cheaper price compared to the current supply. So two things we were offered to the children. And number one is that it's a better product and it'll be a better price. Well, now you're not supposed to use L&D facilities and all that. So therefore, suddenly we said, control the fixed costs. Because if you're going to give them at a cheaper, buy from a wholesaler and give it to these boys, these children at a low price, then you have to do a very, very tough cost control, right? So we said, therefore, Bhaiya, so normally we are all allowed, many of the managers are allowed to travel to the nearby town in a car. The people in our team had gone in state transport bus for this work, and then talk to those people and order and all that. So therefore, we got first exposure is obviously the customer, and getting the customer's confidence, offering something better package to the customer, first point. Second point is total cost control. So all that work we have done kept the cost at very, very low, because fixed costs have to be brought down so that you are able to give to the children at a better price. And the third point, which came in, is that, suppose these guys, children all say that, yes, we are going to take children or parents from you, and they give how are you sure that they're going to take it from you afterwards? There's a possibility they may just walk out, right? So therefore, we have to ask for some advance so that that's a commitment, right? So how important it is that even though, you got the capital which your owner or investor has given you, but you don't want to blow it up, right? So you have to take a commitment from the customer so that customer doesn't walk away tomorrow. So that gave even some more idea that, you've got to be careful. It's fine to have customers, it's fine to do a roadshow, but in the end, the customer has to also give some commitment, some 10% advance, so that he doesn't go away. Okay? So we also asked them, hey, you people have to pay some advance, okay, which they did. So here we are, that we did the roadshow in the school. Maybe we attracted 40-50% of parents, children, and then they all give the list of the notebook that they would like to have of different sizes, different number of pages, and all that. And we had to ensure we went to and bought a good quality, and we brought them here. Now you have to pack them the student name wise, class wise, right? You get the bulk size wise, but you have to convert. So you require some labor. No labor, no cost. So therefore, we all sat, there's 25 people sat in the school. We took a room there and packed ourselves, using the list of books that we have for each class. We packed all that, and we took full money and we handed over to them. In between, therefore, it doesn't end there, right? It doesn't end there. When these people are given this advance and all that, obviously the current vendors who are outside they are real bookshops, it is hitting them, because here is an offer of a better quality notebook and at a cheaper price. So they had to do something. So they went around spreading that, what do you think? They're all having some fun now. One time they'll give. They don't know how to bring notebooks. We know how to bring notebooks. We are in the business of stationery. These guys don't know anything. So don't be sure they'll give. So don't, after that, you don't come back to me saying that I want the notebooks, because that team has failed. So they spread words saying that, how can you do like this? How will they do it? They may not really deliver in that. That's one point. Very interestingly, and one of them, possibly a Dada, wanted to convey to me that since I was a convener, hey, what are you guys doing? What do you think? Why are you taking notebooks? Do something in your own colony, clean up the colony, or do some painting work. Why are you coming into my business? Some sort of a threat also had, threatening words had come to me and was sent to me. Somebody has conveyed that to me too. So what does it mean? The learning here is that if you are getting into a business and trying to offer a better product at a very better price, attractive price, other suppliers are not going to keep quiet. They'll do their level best to damage your image, to damage your reputation, and to spread word saying that they will not be able to deliver. Okay, all that. And also follow that threatening, hey, you're going to come in, I'm going to see you. That type of thing. It so happened that actually we all didn't bother about all this. We did great work. The team did great work. And we delivered to the school children better quality notebooks at a very, very attractive prices, far better than the existing. And therefore, it became a benchmark and actually a lot of satisfaction for all of us. More importantly, understanding that in a business, there is a segment called customer who is unpredictable. There's a segment called competitors, and there is something called finance and cost involved. So therefore, cost has to be controlled, productivity has to be very high, and then in the end, you have to deliver what you have promised. We did get more than 10% return and gave it back to the boss that, sir, here is your money, and here is it. And actually, just to mention that it became a practice for the next couple of years, this subject. And overall, I think the team has got benefit of this understanding how a business runs. Why I'm giving this experiment is that, this assignment, the experiment is that people, a leader can do many such things. This is only one example. Many such things to ensure that people get trained, understand, because in the end, it's a business acumen, it's a financial performance, it's very important. And that exposure in the early days, will give an opportunity for each of these guys to see every action, every decision in that view, in that business point of view. So this is about the top leader, what he has to do in terms of giving specific importance to how to inculcate that business acumen, financial acumen, and international exposure, right, to the people, such that they are better prepared for tomorrow. I think these 3-4 things specifically the top leader has to focus. I think we have seen that development of people. Specifically, I think I can give an example of Last Tubro, who got a wonderful assessment development center program. They have for all the levels of the people. They have a set of exercises, doing all that, going through all that. A lot of simulations would be there. Go through all that, and then they assess each one's, areas of strength, areas on border, and that means you are as good as anybody else in the world, and maybe where you have to, you should look at improving for various levels. And the whole scheme is different for each level, but they do wonderful. And to me personally, again, in the 1999 or 2000, when this program is started, I think it's 2000 in L&D, I was one of the first batches of this assessment. And that gives a lot of important. I think the top management, top leader has to take a special attention to these type of initiative, because in the end, the people can make a huge difference for any business success. And another thing, I think one last point is also to retrain the people, train and retrain. Because sometimes it can happen that somebody is very good can become obsolete in no time, right? So therefore, the multiple examples I'm aware of, like for example, some of the guys, especially since I came from operations, I can say, who are largely operations oriented, sometimes can miss out on other important subjects like this financial business orientation and so on. And therefore, the top leader has to ensure that everybody is given this input and everybody is given the latest input, right? So I think with this, I will conclude on this topic of people orientation. And thank you.